Niedereschbach was a quaint little German village about 18 minutes by the U2 U-Bahn line away from Frankfurt am Main. So each day of my young life, I rode the U2 U2 from Niedereschbach to Heidenheim during the first year. The second year began the ride to Miquel Adikisali, debarking to walk to the Abrams complex and attend high school, or to hang out with friends. There was a lot more of the latter than there was of the former for at least 2 years. A frequent stop on either end of the trip was at the Trinkhalle, little German huts filled with neatly stacked items to eat and to drink that I found utterly fascinating. You could find anything from ouzo to Moncherie, my favorite little dark chocolate-covered cherries, suspended in liqueur, even bearing my name no less. They would warm me up with a fluid burst of flavor, tingling on the tongue during those long, cold walks to home, school, and other various more provocative locations. I dreaded the late-night walks from the Niedereschbach U2 station in the wintertime after some party or event because of the icy wind that would cut through every stitch of clothing, no matter how densely layered. I always felt a sense of relief when I made it to the church on the rounded corner, because that meant that home was just a few heartbeats away. Key in gloved hand, I knew that soon I would turn the lock on the door, opening up a place of warmth and love. No matter how fragile or flawed, it always waited for me there. Living catty-corner to a church evoked the sacredness and the mystery that was God to me, as I learned and grew there, emblazoned by the faithful. I was raised as a Christian, and I enjoyed the curiosity of having a church as a landmark to find my house, sometimes in the beginning when I would get lost myself. Later, on the rare occasions that I would give people directions to get there, it served its purpose as the lodestar that led to my residence. I found it easier to go out into the world to meet people than to invite them into my world. A magnitude of people and events shaped my life then. However, there were several happenings that seemed to carry more significance for my future, though every seemingly small experience was woven into a carefully crafted web of design by my Creator. My own presence seemed to have a powerful effect on many lives and events as well, although at the time I was oblivious to it. If pressed deeply enough, there was a part of me that knew it, and was reluctant to believe it, or to accept the burden of responsibility that it carried. I was precocious and mysterious, or so I was told, a precarious and precious mystery that none would solve. Ruled by my heart, I would sometimes make it appear that I was ruled by my head, or perhaps random chance. No, it was my heart, always, that secretly would push logic aside and rush in where angels and demons would fear to tread. And, as you might imagine, it got me into trouble more than once, though I was always rescued by grace, or some stray angel or another. As an unidentified empath, I absorbed the energy of those around me, and the only way that I knew how to distance myself from this invasion was through anger. It acted as a shield before I understood what being an empath really was. I relied upon it heavily with my parents to keep their toxic relationship at bay. I used it more than once when all else failed, screaming at them to leave me alone. It was like armor that I called upon to protect myself, and most of all, my heart, from the obscenities of the world that made no sense to me. I was naturally a brunette, but due to frequent obsessing over my hair, I often appeared to be some shade of blonde. The reason that I would distress over my hair was because I never felt that I could get it quite right, the perfect that I would see on the covers of magazines or inside the windows of my own mind. This left me feeling somewhat insecure and inferior to the imaginary standards of perfection imposed upon myself and all girls in my culture at that time. The illusory idea of perfection, both physically and otherwise, loomed as an ideal that I could never quite master. So I just kept trying, at times spending hours to get myself right. This became tiresome. So by the time I was 16, I was able to pull myself together in an hour's time, instead of the exclusive preoccupation with my hair and makeup like the previous 2 years. I would sigh and feel that I had done the best I could that day to get as close to perfect as humanly possible. I learned that I always looked like or appeared to have it all together, even when falling apart. I was told that my eyes were one of my best features, so I would spend time accentuating what I could in the clear crystal blue of my eyes. I was also told that my behind was another one of my best features, something that was first communicated to me via wolf whistle by a boy in New Orleans. He later learned to express himself more appropriately after he realized that I didn't respond well to catcalls or the like. Still, there were those times that I would try on several pairs of jeans to see which one was the best fit for me. My younger sister told me that she thought I was perfect, and she never understood this little ritual. And yes, I did lie down to zip up some of the jeans in my collection, to the immense entertainment of my sister. Interestingly, people said that they loved my smile, something that I didn't believe for a long time. I didn't like my smile because I never had seen my real smile the way that others had. I tried to keep my vulnerability hidden, but apparently it didn't always work. My early days in Frankfurt were some of the darkest days that I have ever had in my life. I hated the middle school and felt trapped there, which was not surprising since it had been used as a prison for women during World War II. The boys were entirely too young for me there, as I was used to being around much older boys in New Orleans. The girls, though some had escaped it, were caught up in labeling, and by this I mean that I was told that there were 3 distinct groups, and that I had to choose the one for me. I was on a school bus at the time, going to a girlfriend's house for a sleepover, when this 9th grade revelation occurred.